walked through the long hallway toward the council chamber. Her shoes clicked on the smooth metal floor. She carried a small data pad in her hands. The pad held Earth's proposal for new colony rights in space. Had worked on this proposal for 2 years. She believed it would help humanity grow among the stars. The Galactic Council building was huge. It floated in space near a bright blue star. Ships from many different worlds came and went around it. Had seen creatures she never imagined during her week here. Some looked like walking crystals. Others had wings like insects but were as tall as buildings. A few were just balls of light that talked through computers. Reached the chamber doors. They were made of some kind of metal that changed colors. 2 guards stood beside them. The guards looked like giant spiders but walked on their back legs. They wore uniforms with many badges. One of them checked papers and nodded. "Ambassador from Earth," the spider guard said in broken English. "You may enter." The chamber was enormous. Hundreds of seats filled the space in curved rows. Each seat was different. Some were filled with water for fish-like beings. Others glowed with heat for creatures that needed warmth. At the center was a raised platform where speakers could address the council. Walked to the platform. She looked out at all the different species watching her. Some had eyes like hers. Others had things that might be eyes but looked nothing like what she knew. A few had no visible eyes at all. At the front row sat the most important members. These were the leaders of the biggest and strongest governments in the galaxy, recognized Counselor Ara of the Hegemony. The Hegemony controlled more worlds than any other group. Ara looked like a tall, thin person but with blue skin and 4 arms. His species had been in space for thousands of years. Next to Ara sat Commander of the Swarms. She looked like a giant praying mantis but wore clothes and jewelry. Her people were known as great builders and engineers. They had built most of the space stations used by other species. Placed her data pad on the speaker's stand. The stand scanned the pad and sent the information to screens around the chamber. Now everyone could see Earth's proposal. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," began. "I come before you today representing the people of Earth. We request permission to establish colonies in the Perseus Arm region of our galaxy." Some council members looked at their own data pads. Others whispered to the beings next to them. Could not tell what they were thinking. Their faces were too different from human faces. "Earth has been part of the galactic community for 60 years, continued. "We have followed all treaties and laws. We have traded fairly with other worlds. We have never started wars or broken our promises. Now we ask for the chance to expand beyond our current 3 colony worlds." Touched her data pad. New information appeared on the screens. Maps showed the Perseus Arm region. Charts listed the planets Earth wanted to settle. Numbers showed how much trade this would bring to other worlds. "The Perseus Arm has 47 empty star systems," explained. "These systems have no life on them. No other species has claimed them. Earth would like to settle 12 of these systems. We would build farms, factories, and research stations. This would create jobs and trade opportunities for many species." Looked around the chamber. Many beings were not even paying attention. Some were reading other things on their data pads. Others were talking quietly among themselves. A few seemed to be sleeping. "Earth offers to share all scientific discoveries from these new colonies," added. "We will also provide free medical care to any species that needs help. Our doctors have experience treating many different kinds of life forms." At this point, Counselor Ara made a sound that guessed was laughter. It sounded like wind blowing through metal tubes. Other council members joined in with their own versions of laughter. The sound filled the chamber. Ara stood up. His 4 arms moved as he talked. "This is very amusing," he said. His voice came through a translator so could understand it. "The humans want to expand into space. These primitive creatures who have barely left their own solar system think they deserve 47 star systems." More laughter came from the council. Felt her face get hot with embarrassment. She had expected some resistance, but not this kind of disrespect. Humans have been in space for less than 100 years, Ara continued. My people have traveled between stars for 10,000 years. They have built cities in space for 8,000 years. Even the youngest species here has more experience than Earth. Commander stood up next. Her insect-like head turned toward. Humans use fusion engines for space travel. These are toys compared to our quantum drives. Humans use simple computers to think for them. We have minds made of pure energy. Why should we give valuable star systems to such backward beings? Tried to speak, but Ara raised one of his hands. The Council has heard enough, he declared. Earth's request is, furthermore, Earth will remain in observer status only. Humans are forbidden from expanding beyond their current 3 worlds until they prove they can handle more advanced responsibilities. The Council members made various sounds of agreement, watched as they began dividing up the Perseus arms systems among themselves. Species that already controlled hundreds of worlds took more. No one asked what Earth might need or want. The Hegemony claims systems 1 through 20, Ara announced. The swarms will take systems 21 through 35. The remaining systems will be distributed among other deserving members. Gathered her data pad. She felt angry and ashamed. Earth had prepared for this moment for years. They had followed all the rules and procedures, but the galactic community saw them as children playing with toys too advanced for them. As walked toward the exit, she heard Ara talking to other council members. Perhaps in another 1,000 years the humans will be ready for real responsibility, he said. Until then, they should be grateful we allow them any colonies at all. Left the chamber and walked back through the long hallway. She did not know that hidden sensors in her clothing had recorded everything. She did not know that Earth's quantum communication systems had sent this recording back to Earth in real time. She did not know that the most powerful humans on Earth were watching her humiliation and making their own plans. Only knew that she had failed. She had to return to Earth and tell her people that the galaxy saw them as primitive children. She did not yet understand that this failure would change everything. Dr. James sat in a room that did not officially exist. The room was built 3 miles under the Rocky Mountains. No government records mentioned this place. No maps showed its location. Only 12 people on Earth knew about the Prometheus project and what it really did. James watched speech to the Galactic Council on a wall screen. He saw the alien leaders laugh at Earth's request. He heard them call humans primitive and backward. James did not feel angry. He felt something much more dangerous. He felt satisfied. They still believe our act, said Dr. Sarah. She sat across the table from James. Sarah was the head of the Quantum Weapons Division. Her job was to build things that could destroy entire worlds. 60 years of pretending to be simple, and they still think we use basic technology. Good, James replied. Let them think our fastest ships use fusion engines. Let them believe our computers are just fancy calculators. The longer they underestimate us, the stronger we become. The other 10 people in the room watched the screen. Each of them led a secret division of human technology. Earth had been lying to the galaxy for 60 years. While aliens saw primitive spacecraft and simple weapons, humans had built things that would terrify even the oldest spacefaring species. Dr. Robert Torres led the dimensional physics team. His people had learned to make solid objects become ghosts. They could make entire fleets of ships pass through planets like they were made of air. They could make weapons that existed and did not exist at the same time. Dr. Lisa controlled the nano-construction core. She had built tiny machines smaller than atoms. These machines could take apart any material and rebuild it into something else. They could turn enemy weapons into flowers. They could rewrite the programs inside alien computers. They could make breathable air from solid rock. General Michael Foster ran the Strategic Response Division. His job was to plan wars that no alien species could imagine. He had studied every galactic military for decades. He knew exactly how to defeat each one. More importantly, he knew how to defeat all of them at once. "Show them the current fleet status," James said to the room's computer. The wall screen changed. Now it showed a map of Earth's solar system, but this was not the solar system that aliens saw when they visited. This was the real solar system. Where aliens saw Earth's moon, there were actually 6 moons. 4 of them were hollow and filled with weapons platforms. One was a factory that could build warships faster than any alien shipyard. The last one was a computer that could think better than most organic species. Mars looked like a red desert planet to alien eyes. In reality, Mars was covered with cities and military bases. The entire planet was one giant fortress. Humans could defend it against any attack. They could also use it to launch attacks that would reach any part of the galaxy. Jupiter looked like a gas giant with some mining stations. The truth was more complex. Jupiter's core had been replaced with an artificial star. The gas around it hid millions of ships and weapons platforms. The moons were not moons at all. They were battle stations the size of small countries. "The aliens think we have 12 military ships," General Foster said. "They do not know about the 60,000 ships hidden in Jupiter's atmosphere. They do not know about the million-ship fleet we keep in the space between dimensions. They certainly do not know about our planet-killer weapons." Doctor nodded. "What about Operation Lighthouse?" Doctor smiled. "We can now cause any star to collapse into a black hole. The process takes 6 hours from start to finish. We can target any star in the galaxy from Earth. The aliens would never see it coming." James looked around the table. These people had spent their careers building the most advanced military force in galactic history. They had done it in complete secrecy. While aliens laughed at human technology, humans had surpassed every species in the known galaxy. "The question now," James said, "is what we do about today's insult." The recording of speech finished playing. The screen showed Counselor Aura dividing up the Perseus arm systems among alien species. These were the same systems that Earth had politely requested. The same systems that humans could have taken by force at any time in the last 60 years. "We could destroy the Hegemony fleet in 3 days, General Foster said. "We could capture their home worlds in a week. Their entire government would surrender within a month." "Too obvious," Dr. Torres replied. "If we use military force, other species will unite against us. They will know we lied about our capabilities. We will face the entire galaxy in a war." "Not necessarily," Doctor said. "My nanomachines are already inside every major alien computer system. They have been there for 40 years. We could shut down their entire civilization without firing a single shot. Make their ships stop working. Turn off their life support systems. Delete their databases. They would never know what hit them." James considered all these options. Military conquest would work, but it would make humans look like conquerors. Economic warfare would be effective but might hurt innocent people. There was a third option that appealed to him more. "We do not need to destroy them," James said slowly. "We need to show them what happens when they dismiss humanity. We need to demonstrate that their entire civilization depends on our cooperation." He turned to the computer. "Show galactic trade statistics." New numbers appeared on the screen. James had been studying these numbers for years. They told an important story that most aliens did not understand. Earth provides 34% of all rare Earth elements used in galactic technology, James read. 78% of advanced medical compounds come from Earth plants and animals. Most importantly, 100% of exotic matter for faster-than-light communication is produced by human facilities. The exotic matter was the key. Aliens thought humans found this material in asteroid mines. The truth was that humans created it using quantum manipulation technology. Every alien government depended on this exotic matter for their communication networks. Without it, their empires would fall apart in days. Human merchant ships carry 47% of all cargo between star systems, Doctor added. Human translation software allows different species to communicate with each other. Human medical techniques keep alien leaders alive. The galaxy runs on human technology, but they think we are primitive. James stood up. They want to treat us like children. They want to ignore our requests and divide our territories among themselves. Fine. Let them see what the galaxy looks like without the primitive humans they dismiss so easily. You are suggesting complete withdrawal, General Foster asked. Complete and immediate, James confirmed. Every human ambassador leaves their post. Every human ship returns to Earth space. Every human service stops working. Every piece of human technology shuts down. We show them exactly how much their civilization depends on ours. Dr. Torres looked concerned. That will cause massive economic collapse. Billions of aliens will suffer. They chose this, James replied. We offered partnership and cooperation. They responded with laughter and contempt. Now they learn the consequences of dismissing humanity. James looked around the table one more time, all in favor of Operation Reset. 12 hands rose into the air. The decision was unanimous. Begin preparations immediately, James ordered. In 72 hours, the galaxy will discover what happens when you scoff at Earth. They will learn that there are worse things than war. There is irrelevance. The meeting ended. The 12 most powerful humans on Earth left to begin the most dramatic demonstration in galactic history. The aliens had laughed at humanity's request for colony rights. Soon, they would beg for humanity's return. None of them knew that this was exactly what James had wanted all along. At exactly 12 o'clock Earth time, walked into the Galactic Council chamber for the second time in 3 days. This time, she did not carry a data pad full of requests and proposals. This time, she carried a single sheet of paper with a very short message. The council members were not expecting her. Most of them were discussing how to divide the Perseus armed territories among themselves. Counselor Aura was explaining which systems the Hegemony would claim first. Commander was calculating how many mining operations they could build. Walked to the speaker's platform without asking permission. The chamber slowly became quiet as beings noticed her presence. Some council members looked annoyed that a human was interrupting their meeting. Honored members of the Galactic Council began. Her voice was different than before. 3 days ago she had sounded hopeful and respectful. Now she sounded cold and formal. I bring a message from the government of Earth. Aura made his wind-through-metal laughing sound. Has Earth decided to make another request, perhaps for a single moon this time instead of 47 star systems? Did not smile. She did not show any emotion at all. Effective immediately, the planet Earth and all human colonies withdraw from all treaties, trade agreements, and diplomatic relationships with every member of the Galactic Confederacy. The chamber became completely silent, could hear the humming of air recycling systems and the quiet beeping of computers. No one spoke for several seconds. Furthermore, continued, all human personnel will be recalled from alien worlds and space stations. All human ships will return to Earth space. All human services will be discontinued. All human technology will be deactivated. This withdrawal begins now and will be complete within 72 hours. Commander stood up, her insect-like face turned toward. You cannot be serious. Earth cannot simply leave the galactic community. You have obligations, you have contracts. Earth fulfills its obligations, replied. Every contract will be completed exactly as written. However, no new contracts will be accepted. No existing contracts will be renewed. When current agreements expire, they will not be replaced. Aura's 4 arms moved frantically as he spoke. This is ridiculous. Earth needs the galactic community more than we need Earth. You will return in a few weeks begging for readmission." Finally smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "Perhaps, but Earth will not return under the current conditions. We offered partnership. You offered contempt. We offered cooperation. You offered dismissal. Now you will discover what the galaxy looks like without human involvement." Turned and walked toward the exit. Behind her, the council chamber erupted in noise as hundreds of beings began talking at once. Some were angry, others were confused. A few seemed worried about what this might mean. Did not stay to listen. She had other places to be. At the same time was delivering her message. Similar scenes played out on 847 worlds across the galaxy. Every human ambassador delivered exactly the same words to their local governments. Every human diplomat handed in their resignation. Every human representative packed their belongings and headed for the nearest transport to Earth. On the trading station Captain Maria Santos received an encrypted message on her communication device. She read it twice to make sure she understood correctly. Then she walked to the station's main communication center. "Attention all human vessels," Maria announced over the emergency frequency. "This is Captain Santos with priority alpha orders. All human ships are to cease current operations and return immediately to Earth space. No explanation should be given to alien personnel. Departure must begin within 6 hours." Similar messages went out on 3,000 space stations, mining platforms, research facilities, and trading posts. 60,000 human ships received the same orders. The largest merchant marine fleet in galactic history began moving toward Earth. On the medical station orbiting Rigel 7, Dr. Foster was treating a diplomat who had been injured in a transport accident. The crystal body was cracked and leaking the fluid that served as blood for their species. Dr. Foster's communication device buzzed with the withdrawal message. She read it while continuing to work on her patient. She had spent 6 years learning how to treat injuries. She was probably the only human doctor who could save this being's life. Finished the surgery and made sure the would recover completely. Only then did she begin packing her medical equipment. She would finish her current patients because that was what good doctors did. But she would not take any new cases. "Dr. Foster," called the station's administrator. "Where are you going? We have 17 beings waiting for medical attention." "Earth is recalling all human personnel," replied. "My replacement should arrive within the week." "Replacement? What replacement? There is no other doctor here who can treat these species." Paused in her packing. Then perhaps the Galactic Council should have considered that before dismissing humanity as primitive and irrelevant. Within hours of the withdrawal announcement, problems began appearing across the galaxy. On the manufacturing world of 442, factories that produced starship components stopped working. The exotic matter that powered their quantum assembly machines was running out. Earth had been the only supplier of this material. The factory managers sent urgent messages to their suppliers. They discovered that the Human Exotic Materials Consortium had shut down all production and closed all sales offices. 46% of galactic manufacturing depended on exotic matter from human sources. On the communication hub at Wolf 359, technicians noticed that their faster-than-light message networks were becoming unreliable. Error rates increased every hour. The quantum entanglement arrays that allowed instant communication across thousands of light years were failing. The technicians checked their equipment and found the problem. The exotic matter that stabilized quantum entanglement was breaking down faster than they could replace it. They tried to order more from their usual suppliers. Every human supplier had closed their order books. "How long can we maintain communications with current reserves?" asked the hub's director. 2 weeks if we ration carefully," the chief technician replied. 3 weeks if we shut down non-essential channels. After that, We will lose contact with most of the galaxy. Similar problems appeared everywhere humans had been involved. Medical supplies ran out on hospital stations. Translation computers stopped receiving updates and began making mistakes. Cargo shipments that should have been delivered by human merchants never arrived. The worst problem was food. 73% of the galaxy's agricultural output came from human-managed farms and processing facilities. These farms used techniques that other species had never learned. They grew crops that other species could not cultivate. They processed foods in ways that other species did not understand. On the agricultural world of B, the supervisor of Human Agricultural Cooperative Number 7 found empty offices and abandoned equipment. The human workers had left during the night. The supervisor tried to contact other cooperatives and discovered they were all empty. 3 billion beings on 47 worlds depended on food from human agricultural operations. These operations had just shut down completely. The supervisor sent an emergency message to the Galactic Council. We need immediate assistance. Human agricultural workers have abandoned their posts. We do not know how to operate their equipment. We do not understand their growing methods. We estimate food shortages will begin within 1 month. Messages like this one arrived at the Galactic Council by the thousands. Transportation networks failing, communication systems breaking down, medical facilities closing, food supplies disappearing, manufacturing operations stopping. Counselor Ara sat in his private office reading report after report of system failures. Each report mentioned the same cause: withdrawal of human personnel and services. This cannot be accurate, Ara said to his aide. Humans are only 3% of the galactic population. They cannot be critical to this many operations. The reports are confirmed, his aide replied. Humans may be a small population, but they are involved in essential services throughout the galaxy. Other species relied on their expertise without realizing how dependent we had become. Ara felt something he had never experienced before. For 10,000 years, the Hegemony had been the dominant force in the galaxy. They had never needed to worry about other species. Other species had always needed them. Now the reports suggested that the Hegemony needed humans more than humans needed the Hegemony. This was impossible. This was unthinkable. This was terrifying. Send a message to Earth, Ara ordered. Tell them we wish to discuss their return to the galactic community. Sir, the aide replied carefully, Earth is not accepting any communications from Confederacy members. All diplomatic channels have been closed. For the first time in his long life, Counselor Ara began to understand what irrelevance really meant. 3 weeks after humanity's withdrawal, Counselor Ara stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. Around him, 300 ships from the Hegemony fleet moved through space toward Earth's solar system. This was the largest military force the Hegemony had assembled in 500 years. Ara had tried diplomatic solutions first. Earth refused to answer any communications from the Galactic Council. Human colonies would not respond to trade offers or peace negotiations. The entire human species had simply vanished from galactic society. Meanwhile, the galaxy was falling apart. Food shortages had begun on 47 worlds. Communication networks were failing daily. Transportation systems could not function without exotic matter from human sources. 3 major governments had declared emergency states. Force is the only language these primitives understand, Ara told his fleet commanders during a strategy meeting. We will arrive at Earth, disable their defenses, and compel them to resume their obligations to galactic society. The fleet commanders agreed. Earth had 12 known warships and basic missile defenses. The Hegemony fleet included 500-year veteran commanders and weapons that could crack planets. This would be a simple demonstration of superior firepower. Admiral On of the 3rd Battle Group studied tactical displays of Earth's solar system. Our intelligence shows minimal defensive capabilities, basic fusion-powered spacecraft, primitive laser and missile weapons, no energy shields or advanced targeting systems. We should complete this operation in less than 6 hours. Ara nodded. Remember, we are not here to destroy humanity. We are here to remind them of their place in the galactic order, disable their ships and military installations, demand their immediate return to cooperative behavior. If they refuse, we begin targeting civilian infrastructure until they comply. The fleet approached Earth's solar system at maximum speed. Their quantum drive engines could cross hundreds of light years in days. Earth's fusion-powered ships needed months to travel the same distance. The technological advantage was overwhelming. But as they approached the edge of the solar system, strange readings began appearing on their sensors. "Admiral," called the sensor officer aboard the Eternal Dominion, "I am detecting gravitational anomalies throughout this system. The planetary orbits do not match our charts." Admiral unchecked his own displays. "Explain these readings." "Sir, our charts show Earth has 1 moon. Our sensors detect 6 large objects orbiting the planet. Jupiter should have 4 major moons. We are reading dozens of massive structures in Jupiter's orbital space. The entire system appears to have been heavily modified." Ara felt the first touch of concern. "Modified how? Are there construction projects we were not told about?" "Unknown, sir. Many of these structures are larger than our battleships. Some appear to be larger than small planets. We have no idea what they are or what purpose they serve." As the fleet moved deeper into the system, more anomalies appeared. Space itself seemed different near Earth. Instruments showed readings that made no sense. Matter detectors found objects that were simultaneously solid and not solid. Energy scanners detected power sources that should not exist. "Fleet Commander Ara," came a voice over the communication system. The voice spoke perfect Hegemony language but had a strange accent. "This is Admiral of Earth Defense Command. You are entering protected space. Turn back immediately." Ara activated the communication array. "Admiral, this is Counselor Ara of the Galactic Hegemony. Earth has violated numerous treaties and agreements. We are here to enforce galactic law. Prepare to receive our diplomatic representatives." "Counselor Ara, Earth from all treaties 3 weeks ago. We have no obligations under galactic law. You have 10 minutes to begin leaving this system. After that, we will consider your presence an act of war." Ara made his wind-through-metal laugh. "Admiral, you command 12 ships. I command 300. Your threats are amusing but pointless. Prepare for boarding operations." There was a pause before Admiral replied. When he spoke again, his voice was sad rather than angry. "Counselor, you still do not understand. You still believe we are what we pretended to be. Very well. Let us show you who we really are." The space around Earth's fleet began to change. Objects that had been invisible suddenly became visible. Ships that looked like nothing the Hegemony had ever seen appeared throughout the solar system. They did not look like they were built. They looked like they had grown from some kind of living metal. "Admiral," called the sensor officer, panic in his voice. "I am reading massive energy signatures throughout the system. Ships are appearing everywhere, thousands of them, tens of thousands. Some of them are larger than space stations." But the ships were not the most disturbing thing. The most disturbing thing was what happened to the Hegemony fleet's own ships. Without warning, the Eternal Dominion's weapon systems shut down. Then the navigation system stopped working. Then the life support systems began operating in ways they were not designed to operate. "Engineering report," Ara demanded. "Sir, all our computer systems are being rewritten by some kind of virus. But it is not like any virus we have seen. It seems to be rewriting our hardware, not just our software. Our ship is becoming something different." The same thing was happening to every ship in the Hegemony fleet. 300 advanced warships were being transformed by invisible forces. Their weapons would not fire. Their engines would not respond to commands. Even their internal communication systems were being changed. Admiral Ara called desperately, "What are you doing to our ships?" "Nothing harmful," replied. "We are simply demonstrating some of our actual technology. What you are experiencing is a very small sample of human nanoengineering. Machines smaller than atoms are rebuilding your ships to our specifications. Do not worry, your crew will not be hurt." Ara watched his tactical displays in horror. The readings showed that every molecule of his ship was being examined and reorganized. The hull was being strengthened. The life support was being improved. The weapons were being removed entirely. But that was not the most terrifying part. The most terrifying part was the realization of what this meant. "You have had this technology for how long?" Ara asked. "Nanoengineering, about 40 years, but we have much more advanced capabilities than this." As spoke, the space near Earth began to fold in ways that violated physics. New ships appeared not by traveling through space, but by stepping through dimensions. Weapons platforms the size of moons moved into position around the Hegemony fleet. "Our dimensional phasing technology is more recent," explained. "Only 20 years old. It allows our ships to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, very useful for avoiding enemy attacks." A new kind of ship appeared next to the Eternal Dominion. This ship was clearly visible, but also clearly not entirely in normal space. Parts of it seemed to exist and not exist at the same time. It was beautiful and impossible and absolutely terrifying. "The ship next to you is our design," continued. "It exists in 17 dimensions simultaneously. Your weapons cannot hit it because it is not entirely here. Its weapons can hit you because they can choose which dimension to fire from. We have 6,000 ships like this one." Ara sat down heavily in his command chair. His forearms trembled as he tried to understand what he was seeing. "How long have you had this level of technology?" "Counselor, humans reached this level of technology 30 years ago. We have continued advancing since then. The galaxy sees our oldest and most primitive technology because that is all we choose to show you." "Why?" Ara whispered. "Why hide your true capabilities?" "Because we hoped for peaceful coexistence. We wanted to be partners, not conquerors. We thought if other species saw us as equals rather than threats, we could build something better together." Admiral's voice became harder. "We were wrong. The galaxy does not want partners. The galaxy wants servants and masters. You proved that 3 weeks ago when you laughed at our request for colony rights." Ara looked at his displays again. His fleet of 300 ships was completely helpless. They could not fight. They could not escape. They could not even send messages to warn the rest of the galaxy. Around them, thousands of human ships demonstrated technology that was centuries ahead of anything the galaxy had ever seen. Ships that bent space and time. Weapons that could reach across dimensions. Defenses that made matter itself irrelevant. "What happens now?" Ara asked. "Now you return to the Galactic Council," replied. "You tell them what you have seen here. You explain that humans could have conquered the entire galaxy at any point in the last 60 years. We chose not to because we believed in something better. And if the galaxy wants humans to return, then the galaxy can send representatives to Earth to discuss new treaties. But this time, humans will be treated as equals. This time, our requests will be considered seriously. This time, no one will laugh at Earth." The human nanomachines finished their work on the Hegemony ships. All weapons were gone. All offensive capabilities were removed. But the ships were otherwise improved in every way. They were faster, stronger, and more efficient than they had been when they arrived. "You are free to leave," announced. "Your ships will function normally for travel back to your territory. Consider this a gift. Also consider it a warning." As the Hegemony fleet prepared to depart, Ara realized that everything had changed. Humans were not the primitive species he had dismissed. They were the most advanced civilization the galaxy had ever seen. And they were very, very angry. 6 months after the Hegemony fleet returned from Earth with their shocking news, stood in a very different kind of council chamber. This one was located on Luna, Earth's moon. The chamber was smaller than the Galactic Council building, but it was filled with hope instead of arrogance. Representatives from 43 different species sat in chairs designed for their specific needs. These were not the dominant governments that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. These were the smaller civilizations, the oppressed colonies, the research groups, and the trade collectives that had suffered under the old galactic order. Looked out at faces she had never seen in the old council. The research collective had sent their greatest scientist. The mining clans had elected their most respected leader. Even some individual planets from the former Hegemony territory had broken away to join this new alliance. "Welcome to the first meeting of the Terran Cooperative Alliance," announced. "This organization exists to prove that civilizations can work together as equals. No species dominates others. No government controls smaller neighbors. Every world has an equal voice in our decisions." The scientist, Dr. Ara, spoke first. Her people looked like walking flowers with crystal centers where their faces should be. "Ambassador, the collective is grateful for this opportunity. Under the old Hegemony system, we were forced to share all our discoveries freely while receiving nothing in return. Our research was used to strengthen those who oppressed us." "In the Terran Alliance, research is shared by choice," replied. "Scientists work together because they want to, not because they are forced to. Discoveries belong to those who make them. Benefits are distributed fairly among all participants." The representative from the mining clans was a being that looked like living rock with glowing veins of metal running through his body. "The mining clans have worked dangerous jobs for 1,000 years, he said in a voice like grinding stone. "The Hegemony took our resources but gave us little in return. Many of our people died in unsafe conditions to make the rich worlds richer." Nodded. "Human mining technology uses robots and nanomachines instead of biological workers. We can teach these methods to any civilization that wants to protect their people. The days of sending workers into deadly mines are over." Similar conversations had been happening across the galaxy for 6 months. While the old galactic government struggled with system failures and supply shortages, smaller civilizations were finding new hope with humanity's help. The humans had kept their word. They provided advanced technology to anyone willing to form equal partnerships. They offered medical aid to species that had been ignored by the major powers. They shared agricultural techniques that could feed populations more efficiently than ever before. But they offered nothing to the governments that had dismissed them. Dr. James sat in his underground office, monitoring reports from across the galaxy. The view screens showed the collapse of the old order and the birth of something new. The galactic hegemony had lost 60% of its territory. Colonies and client species were declaring independence daily. Without human-provided exotic matter, their communication networks were failing. Without human cargo ships, their trade networks were broken. Without human agricultural support, several core worlds were facing food shortages. "Status report on the hegemony core worlds," James said to his computer. "Economic collapse accelerating," the computer replied in a calm voice. "Unemployment has reached 47% on their capital world. Industrial production is down 62%. 3 major corporations have declared bankruptcy. Social unrest is increasing." "What about the swarms?" "Similar situation. They have lost their manufacturing advantages without human exotic matter supplies. 31% of their workforce is now unemployed. Several swarm hives have broken away to form independent governments." James felt no satisfaction from this news. He had not wanted to destroy these civilizations. He had simply wanted them to understand that cooperation worked better than domination. The communication system activated. "Doctor, we have a priority message from Earth's diplomatic corps." "Display it." His face appeared on the screen. She was calling from the Luna conference. "James, we have received formal requests for admission to the Terran Alliance from 17 new applicants. These include 3 former Hegemony core worlds and 7 former manufacturing centers." "What are their terms?" James asked. "Full equality with all existing members, shared voting rights, open technology exchange, equal distribution of benefits. They are offering to completely restructure their governments to meet our democratic standards." James considered this news. The former oppressors were now asking to join the alliance they had once scorned. They were willing to give up their privileged positions to become equal partners with species they had previously dominated. "What is the alliance's response?" Smiled. "We voted to accept them, but with conditions. They must prove their commitment to equality over a 2-year trial period. They must provide reparations to species they previously oppressed, and they must submit to monitoring to ensure they follow alliance principles." This was better than James had hoped. The old galactic order had been based on strength dominating weakness. The new order would be based on cooperation and mutual benefit. But not everyone was willing to change. Counselor Ara sat in what remained of the Galactic Council chamber. Only 43 species still attended these meetings. The rest had either joined the Terran Alliance or formed smaller independent groups. The great powers that had once ruled the galaxy were now struggling to survive. "We must take military action," declared Commander. Her features showed signs of stress that had never been there before. "The humans are destroying everything we built. They are turning our own people against us." "With what military?" Ara replied bitterly. "Half our ships cannot function without human exotic matter. Our communication systems fail daily. Our supply lines are broken. We cannot wage war when we cannot even maintain our own territories." "Then we negotiate," suggested Admiral Ra of the Federation. "We offer the humans whatever they want in exchange for restored trade relationships." "The humans have made their position clear," Ara said. "They will only deal with civilizations that accept equality. They want us to give up our dominant positions and become ordinary members of their alliance." "Perhaps that is not such a terrible thing," Admiral Ra said quietly. "Our dominance brought us wealth and power, but it also brought us enemies. The humans offer us something different. They offer us partners." Ara felt ancient anger rising in his chest. His people had ruled star systems when humans were still living in caves on their home planet. The idea of accepting equality with former servants was almost unbearable. But the alternative was the slow collapse of everything the hegemony had built. "Send a message to Earth," Ara said finally. "Tell them the Galactic Hegemony requests to open negotiations for membership in the Terran Alliance." The chamber was silent. Ara had just announced the end of 10,000 years of hegemony dominance. The galaxy would never be the same. Read Ara's message while sitting in her office on Luna. She looked out the window at Earth rising over the lunar horizon. The blue and white planet looked peaceful, but she knew it harbored the most advanced civilization the galaxy had ever seen. Humans had achieved something remarkable. Without conquering a single world or fighting a single war, they had rebuilt galactic civilization according to their principles. Species that had been enemies were now working together as equals. Technologies that had been hoarded by the powerful were now shared freely among all members. The old galaxy had been built on fear and dominance. The new galaxy would be built on cooperation and mutual respect. Activated her communication system. "Doctor, we have received surrender terms from Counselor Ara. The Galactic Hegemony is requesting to join the Alliance." "Terms for acceptance?" James asked. complete restructuring of their government to democratic principles, full equality with all other members, reparations to species they previously oppressed, and a formal apology for their treatment of Earth's colonial requests. Paused and smiled. They also want to rename their organization. They no longer wish to be called the Galactic Hegemony. They want to be known as the Reformed World's Cooperative. James laughed, a sound had rarely heard from the serious scientist. Accept their application, but with the same conditions as everyone else. 2-year trial period, full monitoring, no special privileges. Ended the communication and looked back at Earth. 3 days ago, Counselor Ara had dismissed humans as primitive creatures playing with toys too advanced for them. Today, he was begging to join an alliance led by those same humans. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. There were worse things than war, there was irrelevance, and there were better things than dominance. There was partnership. Ambassador, the woman who had been laughed at by the galaxy's most powerful beings, was now the diplomatic leader of the largest alliance in galactic history. An alliance built not on strength, but on respect. The humans had achieved the impossible. They had made the galaxy better without firing a single shot. And they were just getting started.